Oh, hey folks, how you doing there? Coming to you today, of all things, coming to you on Tuesday, October 25th. Now, if you guys look in the dim distant history of things as they used to be, well, before you had the standard ration pack, MRE, the Mylar bag with the multi-levels of, strata of like anti-radioactive foil, and it's actually like a homogeneous sandwich of plastic. But, it is some very, very tough stuff. Originally, they intended the MRE to be intended that it has nuclear, biological, chemical, that's rated NBC, and you can just hose them off. They're still safe to eat, and the contents can stand up to. Basically, they're about soldier-proofed, okay? Pretty much you could take the bag and really put it through some total hell, and it survives what the onslaught is. Now, the precursor to the MRE, of course, was the C-ration. Now, the C-ration, for all intents and purposes, was a genius piece of kit. Literally, it was a box about yay, by about yay, by about yay. Now, what they told us in the service when I got in back in 1986, they were getting fielded out, okay? The MREs was coming into play. But there still was leftover C-rations. You know what that means? Feed them to the soldiers. That's right. You're seeing cans and dates. The dates from like about, I don't know, not Vietnam, but Korea. Oh, were they any good? Well, some were better than others. The ham and lima beans, also known as the ham and, mother fathers, those were traded off to anybody who was stupid enough to eat them. They were truly nasty, disgusting, horrible, icky. Did I mention they were disgusting? They were nasty, nasty, nasty stuff. The ham and green eggs, also known as the ham and eggs, was actually surprisingly good. There is a modern equivalent that you could find in stores nowadays, which is pretty much those breakfast little tray retorts. I forget what they actually call them. It's a Hormel product. I'll throw it in the annotations. You guys know me. When I figure stuff out later, that's what I'll put in there. But the breakfast item is actually not bad. The top layer, of course, is the egg and ham or egg and bacon. And the bottom is like this kind of not great potato thing. But for all intents and purposes, you reheat it in your microwave, you eat it up. Personally, I just eat them cold, okay? That's just how I roll. I eat stuff cold. Now, in terms of the way the C-ration actually worked, it was standardized on a can. Read like one of these guys. Like, I really, truly love these things. The chicken goo, the roast beef ones. These are really, really hard to find, and they are surprisingly good. Can diameter runs. Let me find my holy ruler of ruledom. My holy ruler of ruledom. It is a can diameter of about 2.5 inches. So literally that's what that is a 2.5 inch diameter can. And what happens there is essentially everything is based off that can. Which is why the box was about yay. Because yay fit into yay. Perfectly. Double stack of these things. These would actually have cans of crackers and cans of other items. And they would be standardized on the size. Now, what has become the modern equivalent to the old C-ration can, which was just genius for its time? The only downside is calories. You were hurting. Downside, menu options were sometimes not great, okay? Also downside, it was a steel can. How do you get rid of a steel can in bad times? You dig a hole, you flip it over, you stomp it into the dirt, you kick some dirt over it, and you basically camouflage it as good as you can because that can's going to be there for a while. Now, the modern equivalency, of course, is going to be, well, of all things, something along the lines of Beanie Weenies. It's the same basic diameter can. Notice that if you open the C-ration box, this is literally what you would have. You would have a stack of a big can, a stack and a smaller can, and usually the smaller can would be like your John Wayne crackers or your side items or something along those lines, and it was a very easy, good standard to go by. Now, what they told us in the Marine Corps when we were going through boot was to keep these things quiet. You put these into your socks so they're not on the trail and making noise. And as if a crowd of, 30 to 50 guys don't make enough noise to begin with, a little bit of jingling cans, I don't think it's going to be that much more noisy. I mean, case in point, the rifle slings themselves were noisy as all get out, and they made a heck of a lot of racket. So what did I find today? I pretty much went through the dollar store. My standard was I'm going to buy everything for $1, only $1. So these guys are not $1. Unfortunately, they're close to about $2. There's not a lot in there, but man, these things are cracking good when you can find them, man. I adore these Underwood roast beef guys. The chicken isn't bad. The deviled ham's not bad, but they are not a cheap item. They're actually fairly expensive if you're thinking about it. And if you go to the dollar store, there is actually better alternatives. Mostly because these guys are screamingly high in fat calories. I mean, you're talking about a quarter cup of this thing. They say charitably 2 servings. No, you eat the whole thing. But it is 130 calories with 90 calories from fat. Not good, okay? If you're in cold climates, that actually does really work well in your regards. But if you're working in hot climates, a high-fat diet is going to do nothing but make you take the craps like every 5 seconds. You're just not going to be liking it. Your butt's going to be hating life. Your guts are going to be hating you. Well, you're just going to hate your guts, okay? Don't do that to yourself. All right, so this guy gets pushed off to the side and tabled off. Case in point, in a 1-can solution of chowing down, man, you are very, very hard-pressed to beat the Beanie Weenie. These things crack major tail, and they are just good. A little hot sauce, and they are on point. So they're awesome. So much so that I actually bought 2 cans. One of those is probably going to be lunch today, so that's what I'm going to do for that one. Cat fight, I had to break up. So the next one is, of course, going down the rungs, is you also have just your plain old beans. I mean, these guys, the Bush's baked beans are flipping phenomenal, and this stuff is awesome. So what do you normally combine baked beans with? Well, hot dogs, but since we're in the worst of times, we're not going to have hot dogs, are we? No. And if I bring these later out on my podcast, Rich is going to be telling me to try to eat these. Ugh. Yeah, these guys, the smoked sausages, which I think are actually probably only slightly better than these guys, the Vienna sausages. Oh, but yes, you do have your Franks and beans. Personally, I would just simply go with the Beanie Weenie and be done with it. These things kick ass. So case in point, next off, you could actually probably easily go with, Smeat. Smeat. And I call this Smeat because it's sucky meat. It's Smeat. It's potted meat, which is pretty much all the crap they scrape off the floor, put to the grinder, add a little bit of salt and smoke flavoring to, and this is the crud you get afterwards. Also known as liquid form of scrapple. Yuck. All right, also conversely, I've actually done tastings on this. This is actually the smaller can. They did have the bigger can in the other store I went to, but I didn't buy them. The bigger can is very closely akin to a almost wannabe, really not quite sort of Spam. Fried up, this stuff is actually really good. I would think if you had cubes of this stuff, you basically stuck it on a stick, put it over a campfire, it would be cracking good. I would definitely go with cooking this before eating this out of the tin. Of course, this one is actually a surprisingly decent one, but actually in a tuna can size can was all things chunk ham. And the ingredients are but it actually comes out not bad. It's basically ham cured with water, salt, sugar, spices, sodium phosphate, sodium erythrate, sodium nitrate, smoke flavor. Okay, if they don't have enough sodium in this thing, you're going to have to be a little careful on that one. The servings is 2.5, and then the sodium is like 560. So you're probably going to have to break this thing down with somebody else. So you're going to be scarfing down about 1,500 milligrams of salt just with this one little container. Woof. This one actually was very cool because, it's a big can. But it was a big can for only $1, okay? These little itty-bitty guys are only 4.6 ounces, okay? This can, because it's chopped up in little pieces, read like the ends and pieces they wanted to salvage and sell a second time. Yes. You then have let me play with my focus here. You then have a 10-ounce can of Vienna sausages. Yeah, except it's cut in little bits because it's the leftovers to make the things proper length. They're not stupid. They're not going to be dumbass. They're going to sell it a second time. But it's a 10-ounce can for $1. I would get that. Conversely, I'm not going to eat this, but I will, hand it off to somebody else who will, because this has high fructose in it. But for a 1-can solution of food, also notice you don't need a can opener, okay? Also notice it is pretty much it's a steel can. You can cut the wrapping off or you can let the wrapping burn. It doesn't matter. Put this thing in the fire. It'll warm up. It'll be perfectly fine. Scarf it down. Bing, bang, boom. Done. And it is actually a fairly good sized can. 14 ounces. You combine that with some of these, you're basically now getting you're survival eating, okay? You're not eating Highline cuisine here. Conversely, also, Cans of fruit cocktail will make your day so much better. And this was $1, okay? And literally, it's a non-can opener variety can, so pretty much just crack it open and suck and go. Could salvage the can, use it for other things. Until the sealer burns out, until it starts leaking, I always recommend, if you're going to use a can for cooking like that, burn it out first. Burn out all the liner, burn out all the crud that's in the seam, because I actually do put a sealer in there. If you're going to second use the can and use it for cooking, burn it out well. Now, after all this stuff is all canned goods and what have you, and this is pretty much all run and gun, good to go, put it in the fire, warm it up all the way, is good stuff like that there. The dirty little trick is you can actually take these cans, burp the lid, don't open it all the way, but burp the lid, take off the wrapper, or just leave it on. Doesn't make any bloody difference. Put the thing in a boiling pot of water, and it will heat up as a double boiler. No muss, no fuss. Very simple, very easy. Now, you're also playing with the opportunity that you actually have fire and boiling water. Well, you also have this second tier of items. I would say running gunning with, something that's actually not going to be too terrible is not a bad thing. These rice running guys are not too terrible bad. Cooks in 3.5 minutes. You just add the water. Basically just reconstituting something that is just freeze-dried. Conversely, it looks so interesting, I bought 2 of them. And yes, these were only $1. The cheddar broccoli on the rice sounds just good. I mean, I would definitely go with that one. Conversely, yes, it is its own container, but a 3-pack for $1, it was hard to walk away from, cup of noodles. Why? Well, I'm probably going to have one of these guys for lunch in a little while. But the thing about it is, there's 3 of these guys for $1. Not the best numbers, not the best stuff. But you know what? If you combine this with a couple other things, it is actually not a bad lunch indeed, and or a meal or something like that. If you got time to boil water, these guys are infamously just good. I mean, it's very easy. You simply just dump in the water, flip the little thing back over, put something. I usually just put something on top of the lid, the foil. Pull it open just enough so you can dump in the water, put something on top so it stays sealed, so you're losing all of your heat, because it is a styrofoam cup, going stuff like that there. But if you have an opportunity for boiling water in the worst of times, this kind of stuff, and of course, this kind of stuff will keep you running and gunning in the worst of times, and well, that's never a bad thing. And standardizing on something the size of a c-ration can is an easy deal to do. Also, they're not really heavy. They're a good portion size, and they will keep you running and gunning with these good complex carbs and yum. Well, I almost feel like cracking one of these guys now, but I'm going to break off with this one, folks. Eat good, keep tendering, as always, you know it, you love it. Oh, survival food. Based on the c-ration size can. Never a bad thing. Also, folks, do be sure to check out my podcast later on. That's going to be around the cabin /campfire.com. But aroundthecabin.com /campfire. I hope to see you guys there later on, and have a good day. See you guys.